Hi, guys. Welcome to the Unknown Comics Podcast. This is episode 31. I'm Tanner.
Chris?
It's been busy.
Yeah, it's been real busy. Half the team's out today.
Yeah.
So, it's been good. We're excited to still be here and talking to you guys.
We're the dedicated ones.
Yeah, the fun ones. Everybody else is boring. Brandon, if you're listening, you're boring. Yeah. So, what do we want to talk about first today?
There's some pretty good books that came out this week.
Yeah.
I read
Star Wars.
Yeah, you want to flip through Star Wars there?
Yeah, I'm going to look at it right quick while we're talking.
Yeah, that character, that was the first cover appearance of her, wasn't it?
Yeah, so this is Orla Jareni.
She's pretty cool.
Yeah, she is a Jedi Way Seeker.
Yeah.
So, pretty cool. I love the way she looks. Of course, she's also got that kind of ray, the dark ray, double lightsaber kind of thing where it flips open. So, see if you got the camera here. This is our exclusive for High Republic number 7.
I guess, so my impression of the Wayseer is kind of like the old Legends Grey Jedi that doesn't really follow a temple or anything. They're just out there doing their Force stuff.
Correct. Yeah, so basically they're on a journey to figure out really where they should be, what they're supposed to be. They're not really a part of the temple anymore, but they still have permission from the Order in general.
Yeah, they're still in good standing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not like they've left the Order completely. So it's pretty cool. It's interesting to see her finally be here in the comics. She's in the second book that came out, the second novel. She was a pretty intricate part of that. So
I did finally get to see. Now I'm not going to call him a Sith because they haven't said anything in the book yet. But this dark Jedi, I get to see some actual lightsaber battle action there.
Spoiler alert! If you didn't already know, Mike Mayhew has an exclusive with him on it. So not too big of a spoiler since they actually ruined it before we even saw the book. So. But interesting to see, with all the High Republic stuff they've been doing, they've had 2 bad guys already, the Nihil and the Drangir.
Both of which are in this book.
And then they bring up, now we have a Sith.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's getting pretty interesting with all the bad guys. Lots of different directions they can keep going with all this stuff.
I think they're going to wrap up the Drangir thing here pretty quick. Yeah. I think they're getting to the end of that.
Yeah, I feel like actually it's kind of been a little over.
Were the Drangir in the novel?
The second one.
The second one, okay.
Yeah, they came out in the second one. I think it's called Into the Darkness, and which is where you first see Orla Jareni and some of the other characters we're going to see in the comics here pretty soon. I think that they're pretty close to their end as far as their story arc goes. The Nihil still have a ways to go. I'm finishing the current novel that just came out 2 weeks ago right now. Of course, it's mostly about the Nihil and what they've been doing. And then which is interesting, the Marvel book, which I feel like is the bigger book out of the two, has been kind of following the Drangir, whereas
the Nihil are almost not in it at all.
The Adventures book, the IDW one, which is more geared toward the younger readers, is the one that's actually been following more of what the Nihil have been doing. So I think it's a little weird in my opinion, but maybe they did that to kind of force people to pick up the Adventures one.
Yeah.
Because that's where the Nihil have been kind of at in the comic books.
Because that's kind of like the main conflict of this era.
Yeah, overall, I mean, the big issue that started with it all was definitely the Nihil causing the big wreck in space and making everybody feel like the lanes aren't safe anymore and things like this. So it was like the big deal is these guys. The Drangir are definitely just a menace, like a pest, I think.
Yeah, so the way I kind of perceived it, I haven't read anything but the Marvel comic.
Yeah.
I haven't read the novels. I haven't read IDW. But the way I perceive it, just by reading that, is the Nihil are essentially the Covenant from Halo, and the Drangir are the Flood.
Yeah.
That's, I mean,
you could say something like that for sure. And then the main guy from the Nihil, he is Barshan Ro. He is captured a Jedi. His name's Loden Greatstorm, and he has stolen his lightsaber. And I don't know if his intention is to become a Sith or what. They haven't really, and it may be in this book that I'm reading right now, because he just went and found a thing that's called a leveler. And basically, when a Jedi's around it or a Force user's around it, their powers are gone.
That's cool.
So I haven't seen what's going on with it yet or what's going to happen there. Like I said, I'm still reading that one, but I'm interested to see what his plans are with his lightsaber. He still has the Jedi. He hasn't killed him. But he's been using the lightsaber like his own personal weapon. So
That's cool. We haven't seen that in Star Wars where there's something that can like negate these Force users, you know. Whereas like 40K, we have the blanks that are just they make psychers go nuts, you know.
yeah, and that's he kind of had he had a guy, one of the Nihils. He found out he was a Force user. He's not a Jedi or anything like that. He's just somebody that's his species is known for being attuned to the Force. He's already part of the Nihil, so he said, he like brought him way up high in the ranks, made him feel like he was his friend, but really he just took him to use him as a tester to see if this thing really worked.
Yeah, and I also like seeing these non-Jedi Force users.
Yeah.
Because, you know, especially if you haven't dove way into the extended lore, you would think you have to be a Jedi or a Sith to use the Force. Well, that's not true.
Yeah.
The Jedi and Sith are these religions within the power.
Yeah, the Force is like again with this guy's species. He's more like a bird type species, but they're very attuned to the Force just in general.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with any kind of religion or anything like that. So, but yeah, it's pretty cool to see. I'm excited about where it's going to keep going. I'll probably read this probably tomorrow. I just didn't have a chance today. So, but it's been really, really good. I've enjoyed it a lot.
I've liked getting away from the Skywalker stuff.
Yeah, I think that, and again, even though we know Yoda's around,
he showed up. He had it was a cameo.
They've barely used him just to say, yeah, we know he's 900 years old and the Skywalker stuff, so we know he still has to be alive.
Well, and he kind of ties the timelines together. You know, just knowing that he's there.
Yeah,
gives us a frame of reference of when this stuff is happening.
Yeah. And it's interesting that he's not on the High Council. They have all these other people on there. He's on he's on a sabbatical. He's out teaching younglings. He's not even up there worried about any of this drama, which in a way I think is kind of interesting, knowing Yoda that he's not in all the drama. But
I actually think I think that prequel's Yoda was too serious.
Yeah,
because you don't get that in this. Or in Empire Strikes Back. Like, he is this crazy, laid-back dude. Yeah.
He's just a little crazy green guy.
It's Grover.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Yeah, so I don't know. Like I said, I haven't seen too much with him at all. I think he's been in the adventure stuff here and there, but I mean, the mentions of him are so sparse.
I think it's just cameo stuff. Yeah. I don't think we're going to see a really fleshed out High Republic Yoda story, at least for a while.
Or we'll see the whole storyline of his species, and we'll be like, what?
Yeah.
See that coming. We'll see. I don't know.
We'll see how Yoda was actually the Sith and orchestrated everything from the beginning.
Yeah. He was everybody, the father of the dark and the light.
Uh-huh.
That would be interesting, though.
You know, I've heard a lot of these call them Star Wars conspiracy theorists that have this whole line of logic that Yoda's the actual bad guy of the whole thing.
I mean, he's been around long enough to probably. I mean, think of somebody like a human like Revan who went back and forth 3 times.
Yeah.
I mean, Yoda's been around for over almost a century. I'm sure he could have gone back and forth a few times. We just don't know his entire past. So,
yeah.
I mean, it's possible. He could have done a whole lot of bad things and never knew.
We had a couple other books. Amazing Fantasy #1 came out today.
Yep.
It was a really good read. I think this series is going to be a lot of fun.
So tell me about the premise of Amazing.
The premise of it is World War II Captain America,
okay,
Red Room, Black Widow, and teenage Peter Parker somehow end up on this island.
Okay.
And it's kind of, you know how like the Savage Lands are just crazy. It's kind of that. Yeah. There's like Manticore and dragons, and there's these like beastmen kind of stuff, ogres.
Yeah. So definitely diving well into the fantasy aspect.
Yeah,
of it.
and so the 3 characters don't know how they got there. They each were
just kind of pulled at a time.
Kind of something happened, and then they woke up.
Okay. Maybe we'll find out later, right?
You find out at least you get set on the track at the very end of the book.
Yeah.
I don't want to spoil it too much because it's really good, and I think people should be reading it. But it also doesn't fit in the Marvel continuity. This is its own thing, you know.
Yeah, definitely its own little series.
Yeah, but it's good. I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
So it's basically a what if.
Yeah, it is a what if.
Yeah. and I think that they didn't label this one, but they've had a couple of what if stories here lately. And they're not really labeling them what ifs, except for the Spider-Man story they did.
Oh, they're actually giving it the title "What If" like they used to.
It's got a little, just like a little. They didn't really call it what if, but it has a logo on it.
Right. Well, back in the day, that was like an ongoing series. Was the What Ifs?
Yeah, and this one, like I said, it's not really a what if, but they still labeled it that way. But I feel like the symbiote Spider-Man stories that they've been doing, those are all what ifs. I mean, because they're going back and kind of reading into these things that didn't really happen. So
Yeah.
I feel like they're what ifs, but they've been doing quite a bit of that symbiote Spider-Man stuff. So
One thing I thought was really cool was the art was different for each character until they got pulled to the island.
so it felt like it was 3 different realities.
Yeah,
That's cool.
it was cool.
Yeah.
I definitely am gonna pick up the whole thing.
Yeah.
And I just based on the artwork, especially of the A covers, I do wonder if it's going to tie into Dark Ages at all.
Yeah.
And
Maybe.
we've been told that Dark Ages is going to be a big deal.
Yeah, we straight up got told by Marvel, yeah, you're doing Dark Ages. Like, do something with that.
Yeah.
So we don't know what that means entirely. They just said, yeah, you're doing it. So, okay. So sometimes they tell us that and it doesn't mean anything, but sometimes they do, and it's like, okay, whatever you say, you're not going to let me have any more information, but they kind of didn't give us a choice on that one. So
Yeah, it was cool. And then this other book actually came out last week. I didn't get to read it till this week. It's Siphon #1 from Image Comics.
yeah, it looked pretty interesting.
I liked it. One thing I really liked, and it's part of why I read both of these, is their miniseries.
Yeah,
I like to just get through the story and move on to something else, as opposed to, because if I commit to an ongoing, I'm committed, and I'm going to buy that book whether I like it or not, because I'm a story run completionist.
yeah,
But this is only a 3-issue deal.
yeah.
It's about this paramedic that just gains these powers where he can take people's pain.
Okay, yeah. I remember reading about this one now.
And it's like ruining his life, but he's helping all these other people.
Yeah, so it's hard to stop because he's wanted to help people.
Yeah. And it was a really good read, and especially for only being 3 issues, I think it's going to be fantastic.
Awesome. I like that.
Well, and I really think you should be picking up, especially the Image and Boom miniseries,
Yeah.
because so many of these are being turned into TV shows or movies.
Yeah, Image has been hot for a while now with books like that, but here lately, boom. I mean, they've just been. I mean, some of that stuff like Berserker, who they knew that was going to be a big deal because Keanu Reeves is on board. Right. But I mean, no, I don't think anybody thought that Something's Killing Children was going to be a big deal. I mean, at first some people did. I mean, we bought hundreds of it. Yeah, just because we knew James Tynion was coming on as writing that, but I mean, nobody knew that was going to be like,
and now if
I mean?
James Tynion's name on it is like, yeah, I got to get that.
Yeah. So, which is, I mean, again, because so much of his stuff is being adapted into movies or TV shows, and then of course it's also just good reads. Like, it's not bad; it's good stuff. So, I mean, if you're a reader or a collector, either way, you want to buy that stuff. So that Something's Killing Children, Department of Truth, the new House book,
Nice House on the Lake.
Yeah,
that one's pretty good.
Yeah, so I mean, these are all great stories that he's writing, and good on DC for making sure that story stayed with them.
Yeah,
Black Label.
Yeah.
Warner Brothers is like, we can't keep letting this dude write stuff for other people.
I know. I'd be kicking myself in the teeth. Yeah.
So, pretty cool stuff there. So, and then another book we both kind of read, another 3-parter, is The Mother of Madness. We got to talk about books we like, and we got to talk about books we don't like so much.
I didn't make it halfway through.
So I read the whole thing. You guys tell us how you felt about it.
It had potential.
I'll be honest, if it was less wordy and more just about what the story was about, I think it'd be great.
Yeah, there was too much, I call it like fluff, it felt like she was trying to fill pages.
I feel like it was, she filled the pages, that's for sure.
She filled the pages.
I think it was more like they were trying to make a comic book a movie. You know what I mean? Because it was in there showing like radio noise, it's showing studio background noise, and it's showing all these little speech bubbles that have nothing really to pertain to the story.
It was a huge book. It was square bound.
Yeah.
I feel like if they would have just cut all the garbage out of the book and just put out a regular 22, 24 page book, it would have been really good.
Yeah, I think if they just would have stuck to her, basically she's got these weird abilities. Something happened with her parents. She took this medicine that her parents are creating, turned her into this person she is. Eventually she gets to the point where she finds somebody to help, and now she wants to start using those powers for good. I mean, like, That's it in a nutshell, right? But they added all this other stuff to it that I just feel like didn't need to be there.
It was like watching The Last Jedi.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, in a way, right?
It's just stuff that doesn't need to be in it was in it, and
they're just. I think some of it comes as good on Amelia Clark for writing a comic book and getting into it. I hope that she does more because somebody doing that kind of stuff, just like Keanu Reeves, is going to get more people reading comics.
right.
But I feel like there's just some fine tuning of the comic book, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people that like it, but we'll just have to see what the
It just
people
wasn't
say.
my style.
Yeah, it wasn't mine either. I've read a lot of comic books, and man, that one was rough to get through. It was tough, and I think that we'll see ultimately what people think of it. But I think if they just could have stuck to the main story.
At least kept a pace going.
Yeah,
Because if there's too many words on the page, especially if they're not laid out in a logical
yeah, and that wasn't
fashion,
Yeah,
it makes it difficult to read, which actually brings me out of the story.
yeah. Yeah, and again, I think some of it was just distracting in general. Some of the stuff that was on the TV set, the radio chatter, like I said, you could tell clearly what was what there, but it was just not necessary to the story at all. I think He-Man Masters of the Universe, I haven't got the second issue yet, but I've been watching the cartoon. Have you watched any of it yet?
I haven't watched it.
It's been interesting. I've never watched or done anything with He-Man.
I've never either.
So it's been good. I've liked
He-Man
it.
action figure that was not even mine. I actually think my grandparents bought it from a garage sale just so I'd have toys at their house.
Yeah. Well, ultimately, I'm just confused. But
Yeah.
at the same time, like the comic book's really confusing because it's a prequel to whatever the crap's happening in the TV show. And I'm 5 episodes in, and it's been good. I like the art style because it just makes me go back to my, the childhood days of watching cartoons and, actually feeling like you're watching something that somebody spent time on.
Yeah.
So that's the hardest time I have with cartoons these days. And I'm just like, that's what our kids get to watch. I mean, man, it sucks.
Yeah.
I wish they had something better to watch.
Yeah.
Even if the stories are good, it's just so hard for me to watch now. But it's been good. That first series there. And then I'm trying to think of something else that I've Joker. Joker's been good. I don't think
Joker was good. Yeah. I read the latest one.
Latest one.
It was kind of I think I might have missed an issue because I don't remember how the last little story arc resolved, and this one just starts something completely new.
Yeah, then I must be in a weird spot too then.
Because I remember Gordon tracked Joker down in South America somewhere.
Yep.
And the gangsters from the local village were fixing to come get him, and that's where the book ended. And I don't remember anything from that story after that.
Yeah. I must be in a weird spot too. I'm gonna have to go back and look at it.
Because this one starts completely with Jim Gordon in Gotham. He's Captain Gordon at this point.
Yeah.
And the Joker has been arrested, and for the first time since Arkham.
Since the first issue of this?
No, since ever.
Oh, it's like a flashback.
It's like a flashback.
Gotcha. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I guess maybe I've missed more than I thought I did. So
Yeah.
interesting. Blah blah. Yeah. So it's been good reading comics. I think Tanner made a good joke earlier. It's funny that as much as Darren and Brandon know about things, we both probably read more comics than they do. Now Brandon reads a lot of stuff on his apps, so he's usually just a little behind. So I don't know.
Oh yeah.
I don't know exactly where he's at as far as.
When that stuff comes out, as compared to print.
It's about 3 months behind now. I think it used to be 6 months, but
Okay.
during COVID, they found a reason to say, "Oh, just 3 months now."
Yeah.
Which freaked a lot of retailers out. They're like, "Oh my gosh, soon it's going to be same day," because and you can get digital copies same day right now anyway if you pay full price. But
Yeah.
this is 3 months behind on the unlimited stuff.
Oh yeah.
where you're paying the subscription every month. So
Yeah. I spend at least $20 a week on FOC, if not more.
yeah.
And I try and have them read before the next week's comes out. So
It's not always easy. Most of the stuff
Yeah.
I get is Star Wars. Outside of Star Wars, I'm picking up Joker, picking up He-Man and Magic because we're kind of going through those. and then my kids do all the Star Wars stuff too. So another big reason for me because it gives me and the boys something to talk about. So
My like core stuff is at least like the normal comic book stuff is Star Wars and X-Men Legend. I started picking up Daredevil.
Yeah.
Mostly because apparently Daredevil has a lot of first appearances.
yeah,
So I started picking that up. I also really like Chip Zdarsky.
yeah, Chip's good. He's also been kind of riding Donny Cates' crossover here and there as well. So
For like the most of what I pick up though is Image, Boom, and Aftershock horror books.
yeah.
I read a ton from those three, and they're all horror. Like this week, Proctor Valley Road finally ended, and that was an awesome storyline.
That's a series I'm probably gonna pick up the trade when that comes out.
It's
'cause
good.
That's been a lot of people have really liked that one.
Like it's fun. It's like one of those. I don't know. It's like one of those horror movies that's almost a comedy,
Yeah,
and it was just a fun little read.
Yeah, I
little
like-
5-issue arc.
I like that. I'm gonna wait for that when that trade comes out. I'll definitely be picking that up.
I've been reading Silver Coin. That's been a good one.
That's Image, right?
Yeah, it's Image, and it's an anthology. It's got Chip Zdarsky. I think Cullen Bunn might have done an issue. I don't remember for sure.
Yeah.
But every issue is a different writer, and every issue is a completely different story that just involves this possessed coin.
That's cool. I like that. That's
And it's gone from like the past, the future, the present. It's just all over the place, but it's been cool.
yeah. I think one of the ones that I was excited about this last week was Moon Knight.
Okay.
Yeah, Moon Knight #1 was great. Coming back in, and it's kind of still giving you, if you're not a Moon Knight person, it still kind of gives you like this, because he's talking to a psychiatrist like the whole time. So you're kind of getting this background of Moon Knight. Even if you're
Okay.
not a Moon Knight person, you kind of, by the end of the comic, you understand.
Because he's like schizophrenic or something, isn't he? Like
Yeah.
the Moon Knight power has made him crazy.
Yeah, he's got like multiple personalities. He's died multiple times. He's come back to life with different names. But we actually get a great first appearance of a new character. So we call Moon Knight the right hand of this god that he worships, or that he's got these powers from. Well, by the end of this one, you get a new guy who is the left hand of this god.
So that's cool.
So it's pretty cool read. I'm really excited about where it's going to go. So if you haven't read Moon Knight, yeah, pick it up. There's a first appearance in there. I don't know how big of a deal it's going to be, but with the series coming out, a lot of times they introduce these new characters to
Get ready for the especially being Marvel. You
Yeah.
know, they reflect what they're doing in both medias.
Yeah, from what I understand, like all those new, of course, because they wanted some more diversity, but all those Asian characters that they created over the last year, we're supposed to be seeing a lot of those in upcoming movies. Namor movie,
Shang-Chi
Shang-Chi
would be a good one.
but there's a lot of them are more aquatic characters.
Okay.
So that's why a lot of people are thinking, well, maybe we'll see him more in like a Namor movie than we would Shang-Chi. Now, for sure, Shang-Chi, we've already seen his sister, who was just shown in a comic book last year for the first time ever. She's already been in the trailer. So we know that, you know, they are definitely setting up these characters in the books before we see them in screen.
His book has been pretty good.
Yeah, multiple books now.
Yeah, so the current one is he's basically taken over the Five Weapons
Yeah.
Society, and he's the new Grandmaster or whatever they're calling him.
Yeah.
And he's trying to make him legit, but like the underworld people can't know that he's kind of trying to go legit.
Yeah, because they're going to turn on him. Yeah.
And he's trying to keep them happy while at the same time not getting in trouble with the Avengers. And it's getting kind of messy, but
Yeah.
it's cool.
What will happen next? So cool. Speaking of movies and things like that, so last week I watched Darren and I, and we want to watch. Does anybody say anything on Twitch?
Lazy Gamer says the first issue of Cherry Blackbird is hilarious.
Cherry Blackbird.
I haven't heard of that one.
I haven't either. Tell us more.
What's the
about
publisher?
this. Yeah, I don't know who this one is.
We'll give him a minute to get back with us. We'll circle back.
Yeah. So I watched Snake Eyes last week, and you haven't seen it yet. Go ahead.
Scout Comics.
Scout Comics. Okay, yeah. So Scout, we don't do a lot of Scout right now. Hopefully, eventually we will. They've been kind of one of our problem
Children.
publishers, where they hated sticking to street dates, and then at some points they didn't print enough books for quite some things, and so we just haven't gotten back to ordering them. But we'll see. Maybe we will soon. So, but Snake Eyes Dead Game. Not Snake Eyes Dead Game. Snake Eyes the movie the origin story. I watched this. I watched this last week, and I have to say, it was actually pretty good. I was a little skeptical, but I didn't really mind the first two G.I. Joe movies. I'm sure you've seen both of those.
I'm not a G.I. Joe fan.
You know what? And I think it's funny because I think you and I are just a little younger for it, right? Because Transformers, even though I think it's a bigger thing overall, it's still before you or me.
Yeah, see, I never cared for like Transformers, but when I was a kid, Beast Wars came out, so I was way into Beast Wars.
Yeah, and then I think G.I. Joe's was like just before me. Like they were. That's all the toys Darren had were G.I. Joe's. He watched all that. I mean, that was what his thing.
See,
right?
and I had G.I. Joe's, but they weren't branded with the show and all that continuity.
Yeah.
They were just toy soldiers, basically.
Yeah. By the time I got to really watching stuff, it was Power Rangers. It was. The Ninja Turtle cartoon from the 90s. You know, that's what I remember mostly. But I still think that knowing that like Darren loved all this stuff, I still had that G.I. Joe kind of thing around me. But I don't know all the characters and stuff like a lot of these people would. So I kind of go into it, and I think it's kind of in a good way because I don't know anything. So I'm just going in and watching a movie and learning from scratch here. Right? So everybody's pissed off that Snake Eyes is talking, and I'm like, I mean, he kind of needs to for this movie.
Right, he's the main character.
So. But there was no vow of silence or, anything like that. So I don't know if maybe that'll come in the future or if maybe they're just really retconning it and be like, no, let's make sure he talks.
They should have done it like silent movie style and like done a bunch of stuff and then put up a splash screen with text.
It'd be like that Disney movie Spirit.
Oh, yeah.
There's just no talking, the whole thing. But we get introduced into the full G.I. Joe organization. They only show you Scarlett. So you don't see a whole lot, but of course Scarlett and Snake Eyes have a bigger relationship there anyways. We see the Baroness from the Cobra organization. That's really all we see from Cobra. So they kind of only give us a little bit of introductory from those two people. And then of course we see Snake Eyes and we see Storm Shadow. And we get the introductory for both of those characters. So they really focus just on those four characters. We do see some of the other people that you kind of see from those organizations that Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow in, but outside of that, am I saying it right? I always get like Shadow Storm. Shadow.
I wouldn't know to correct you anyway.
Yeah, I know, right? The one with the white suit. All the G.I. Joe fans are pissed at me. Like, did you just say Star Trek and Star Wars, but you said it wrong? Yes, I'm sorry. No, but it was good. I was thoroughly impressed with it. I think they did a good job. It definitely, if they made money, I hope so. They definitely set it up for its own sequel, while at the same time introducing the G.I. Joe universe. Yeah. So I think it's a good start for that, and I hope we get to see more of that. So it was really good. I actually enjoyed it. So what else are we talking about?
We haven't talked about so we've had a couple of like really good episodes of Bad Batch.
Oh yeah, Star Wars Bad Batch. The last three haven't talked about it in 3 or 4 weeks.
It's been a while. Well, it got so it's. I think this is one of those shows where there's not really much to talk about every episode. We kind of got to let the story arcs play out a little bit.
Yeah, but we got 2 episodes, which I was really cool to see with Hera in it. So we see a little bit more of her story arc. Which I think is pretty cool. Hera is such a big deal in the books and in Rebels. And it's really cool to kind of see her fresh start, see where it's going with that, and to see kind of how she gets that rebel spirit. Yeah. I think that's really kind of what it's showing us.
I like getting to actually see the Empire on all these different planets. Yeah. Because, you don't get to see that ever. Yeah. You always see the Empire on a battle station or a spaceship, and you never get to see them interacting with citizens. And we get to see a little bit of it, at least the remnants of it in Mandalorian. The Empire's technically over by then, but you see some little war bands. And
I think it gives you the sense of there's a lot of people that, they're like counter rebel people. They're like, what if the Empire was good the whole time and the rebels were the bad ones? So I think this is showing you straight up, yeah, they were bad.
Well, and so to me, the whole time scale seems super rushed here. Yeah, and I think it's really because of the way he had to make it with the prequels. Yeah, because basically the Empire only lasts like 20 years.
Yeah, Palpatine's in power for 20 years.
That is
just over 20 years.
That is not long to have this super evil empire that's so pivotal to the plot.
And galaxy wide.
Galaxy wide, yeah. So I mean, we have to see we have to see this development happen real fast from the Republic to the Empire, and especially in Bad Batch. I mean, it's happening almost overnight.
Yeah, they're just taking over worlds, implementing codes and all these different things that are, propagandized all over the place, saying this is why it's good, this is why we have to do this. Just making people, forcing the Kool-Aid down people's throats, basically.
Right.
Yeah. So it's been good though. I've thoroughly enjoyed seeing some of these characters. I mean, that one where they first showed Hera, you only saw the actual Bad Batch for about maybe a minute of the whole episode.
Yeah, they showed up to drop some stuff off, and then they were gone.
Yeah, so I mean, I was a little surprised by that, but at the same time, it's good because it shows you that they're committed to whatever character is going to do the show. That's who they're going to go after. So it's good that they don't feel like they just have to always use these
same
five
characters, yeah.
plus crosshairs. So
and I realized the Clone Wars wasn't named after any set of characters, but they did that in the Clone Wars. Like these episodes would follow Anakin, these episodes would follow Obi-Wan, these episodes would even follow Padme.
Yeah,
they would hop around between.
There'd be some just
who
about
the focus
Rex
was.
or
Yeah.
different things like that. Yeah, so. I appreciate that. I'm guessing we'll probably see maybe Hera or some of the family maybe later in the episodes. This last week they introduced, kind of gave us the background story for Vizago. And if you've watched any of the Rebels cartoons at all, you should know who that is. He is not crazy pivotal in all the storylines, but he does have some parts that he plays to kind of help with the rebel cause, even if he doesn't really mean to be doing that. So it's pretty cool to see them just kind of keep giving some of these stories more depth, these characters more depth. So I think it's been good.
And so this was episode 13. I think there's 16, so this should get us to the start of Marvel What If.
Yeah, August 11th. What if they dropped another trailer for that today?
Okay.
It wasn't a whole lot more than the last trailer, but man, I'm excited about it.
It's going to be fun.
And I think a lot of people, I was thinking about this earlier, that they're like, when are they going to drop the Spider-Man trailer? When are they going to drop the Spider-Man trailer? I'm wondering if maybe something in What If happens that feeds into Spider-Man or something, and maybe they don't want to spoil it.
I don't know.
Yet.
We'll see.
You know what I mean?
We'll see. I mean, we're getting actually close to the movie to not even have a teaser trailer.
Yeah, there's nothing yet. So somebody posted today that if you looked at Spider-Man's ID, his birthday is August 10th. So maybe they're waiting for that. And I was like, well, the What If comes out August 11th. So
yeah, we'll see. I was kind of bummed that they gave the dates for Hawkeye, and it's kind of later than I really want.
Yeah, November
24th, I think is what you said.
24th. Yeah, and then Miss Marvel got pushed next year. So I was surprised by that as well. But in a way, I mean, the fact that they hadn't actually given us any dates to this point, I was like, how are they going to get both of these TV series in the end of this year, plus all the movies?
Yeah.
Because we still have Shang-Chi, we still have Eternals and Spider-Man. And then we have What If, Hawkeye, and Miss Marvel. So that's a lot to cram into 4 months.
Yeah, and we're also getting Venom, even though it's not technically MCU.
Well, we'll see.
Not at this moment.
Yeah, that still keeps going back and forth of people saying, "Oh, don't roll it out." And then somebody says, "Hey, shut your mouth."
Yeah,
don't say that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
You know? So I don't know. We'll see. I think with the multiverse of madness and all this different stuff, I think that's the only way we might get to see Spider-Man with the black suit, even though Venom already has it. You know what I mean? So maybe just
I saw a meme today, and it was Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield
yeah.
and Tom Holland all in like black suits dancing.
Yeah.
Like emo Spider-Man. I was like,
from Spider-Man 3.
Oh, don't do that.
I'll have to say Spider-Man 3 wasn't as bad as X-Men 3. So, there's that.
Yeah.
For what it's worth, my kids watch the third one all the time just because of emo Spider-Man, because they think it's hilarious.
Yeah, I mean, there are redeemable parts about the movie. There's redeemable parts about all the Tobey Maguire movies, I think.
What I think is funny is there's always been these memes going back and forth year to year about how Tobey got 3 and nobody else got 3, right? Mm-hmm. So if Tobey is in this one, he's still ahead.
Yeah.
He's still got 4 and everybody else is at 3. Now, Tom Holland's been in other movies, so I mean, there is that.
Yeah.
But I still think it's funny that, it's a Spider-Man movie that Tobey Maguire's in, so that's 4.
Yeah. That's awesome.
So we'll see those memes, I'm sure, as we get closer, or if it's confirmed and we see him in there, I'm sure there'll be plenty of memes.
See, I just want a final answer. I'm tired of hearing rumors about them.
If they're going to be in there,
If they're going to be in it or not.
we know for sure all these villains are going to be in there from both franchises.
It makes so much sense
so
to put them in
why
there.
wouldn't the Spider-Mans be in
But
there?
I could also see the studio just going, ha ha, and like,
Not have
you
any of-
thought.
Now we know Jamie Foxx for sure because he like straight up was like, I'm in it. And
Yeah,
I
he's
believe
been
it.
cast. And we know J. Jonah Jameson's already shown up in
Yeah.
MCU movies.
Yeah.
And I believe they have actually confirmed the guy who played Doc Ock.
Yeah, I think he's in there. We know Vulture is going to be back. Of course, he's already in this timeline. But what's funny is he's in Morbius, which is supposed to be at some point this year too.
And is a Sony movie, just like
movie.
Venom. So
Yeah.
there is still a little bit of crossover between the Disney and Sony stuff.
Yeah, so but again, all this multiverse stuff just says, yeah, it's all open now. So whatever, we can
Right.
do what we want.
Right.
So I mean, that's good because if they can give us more story arc, then that's good. I'm all for it.
I think the two things I want to see most are, of course, the three Spider-Man. Because Andrew Garfield's my favorite of them
Yeah.
all. I thought he portrayed both Pete and Spider-Man the best at the same time.
Yeah. I liked his two movies, but I will have to say overall, I still think that I do like the Tom Holland one the best, and I think it's just because he's been allowed to be with all the other characters.
Yeah,
I guess that's probably why. I just feel like he makes the most sense for Marvel because he's been with all these other guys already.
I think he does a good job
Yeah,
as both, but I don't think the way they decided to write Spider-Man for the MCU really does any justice to Pete. He's basically Tony's sidekick.
yeah,
And that's not who Peter Parker is.
Well, the reason I guess for that is they wanted to make sure he tied into everything, so they had to have him do that some way somehow. But yeah, it doesn't really show anything about his own background there too much. There's no Uncle Ben. I mean, there's none of this. And I guess really they just and I think they straight up said this when they were writing it. They said they didn't want to go through all that again.
And I understand that, but they didn't have to. They could
Yeah.
still start him off in the middle of his story, and we could tell his origin later.
It's kind of like how they did Batman versus Superman, and you saw Batman's origin for like 2 seconds. You
Yeah.
got it. You were gone.
Yeah.
It's
Because, Pete is supposed to be this. I mean, he's he's Reed Richards level smart.
Yeah.
He's one of the smartest characters in the entire Marvel universe.
Yeah.
And you let Tony make his web slingers for him.
Yeah. Well, he already had his version.
We never saw that. We don't know what he had.
Yeah, well, we saw him using it, though. So, he had something. He created something. Tony just made his own version. I'm sure now that we kind of saw that kind of transition into him being the one creating things at the end of the last Spider-Man movie.
Oh, yeah.
So, I think that, we'll start seeing that more and more now that he's probably going to be kind of leading into that character, leaning into that smart role.
Yeah.
So, we'll see kind of how that goes. I think, with Tony being gone out of there, now you have Banner, but who knows how long he'll stay in the MCU.
Well, we know that Fantastic Four is coming, so
Yeah.
we're going to get Reed Richards.
You're going to get Reed Richards soon, but you're going to have, because these are the guys that are creating everything to beat people up with.
Right.
So we got to have these smart people still. So definitely, I bet we'll see him step into that more.
But I want to see all three of those guys, and I would really like to see a live action Miles.
I think him, and even if they found a way to put a Gwen in there, and I know some people had even talked about the fact that what's her face from Garfield's movies might
Emma
somehow be
Stone.
in there. Yeah, Emma Stone. She might somehow be in there. I don't know. If they do, then I don't know. Is Miles going to be a teen too, or I mean, how are they gonna? Because I feel like she should be a teen as well, and I feel like she can't play that role anymore.
Yeah, she's too old for it.
Yeah.
Especially if they're going. I mean, with the multiverse stuff,
They can go anywhere.
they can go any way they want.
Yeah.
But if they want to have the Miles Gwen relationship, then they're just gonna have to recast younger.
Yeah, and not only that, but I mean, right now Peter Parker is a teen. In the comic books, have we ever seen Miles not be a teenager or a young person?
Miles has always been a teen, but there was a point in the Ultimate Comics where they were, I think, both teens.
Yeah.
Before Pete died.
Yeah, kind of like what happened to Gwen and her.
Yeah, because in the Ultimate Universe, they were both buddying around. I think they went to the same school and everything. They were both Spider-Man, and then Pete died, and that's when Miles became just the Spider-Man.
Yeah, he was no more. He was Kid Arachnid at first, right?
I don't remember.
Yeah, I think that was his first name was Kid Arachnid, and then he became Spider-Man. Mm-hmm. The Spider-Man.
Yeah.
So I don't.
Ultimates were weird though.
Yeah, I just don't see them taking him from that younger character. So I don't know if maybe he's already at the school now, and we just didn't see him from the change.
Well, and so how old is Tom Holland in real life?
He's like 22, 23 maybe.
Yeah, so it wouldn't be that far fetched to pull Pete into college and introduce another younger character.
Yeah, I know that they wanted to keep him in high school longer than they did the first couple sets of movies. They didn't want it to get like so rushed because they wanted that more younger, raw Peter Parker.
Because I also think it was weird him showing back up after the snap, and like all the other characters from the movies are still. So you have to assume that everybody Peter knew got snapped also.
And that's basically what it was. And I think they kind of mentioned that basically, the main cast of Friends was all snapped. Now there were other people that are now 5 years older and they're not in school anymore. So they had to be reintegrated into school even though they're 5 years older, but not really kind of a deal. So yeah, I mean that's kind of what they did so that they could complete their story arc. So, and I'm kind of wondering how if they're just going to keep it that way. It's kind of confusing to kind of think that the MCU is always 5 years ahead now.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, anytime you start adding multiverse, it gets confusing.
Yeah, but yeah. I mean, if you hadn't seen all the movies up to this point,
basically, I think what I think they're going to do is they're going to multiverse everything, pull all the parts from the different places that they want, and re-solidify.
Yeah, it'll be a Secret Wars.
Yeah, Secret Wars, or I mean, this isn't Marvel, but Crisis on Infinite Earths kind of thing.
I kind of feel like the two brothers, the directors that did Infinity War and all this kind of stuff, they were like, you know what, we'll be back for Secret Wars. They kind of already. I'm sure they already have plans for that.
Because it seems like both publishers do this every so many years. Because the multiverse part gets too confusing. Yeah. They come up with some catastrophic event and collapse everything back to one Earth.
Yeah.
And then basically reset it.
So it'd be interesting to see where it goes. I'm excited about it. Shang Chi's this next month.
I've been so excited for this movie.
Yeah, I have been too. I think, and they just released a new trailer for that, but I didn't watch it.
I haven't watched the new one.
I didn't want to watch it. I'm like, I've seen too much already. Yeah, I just want to kind of be surprised when I get there.
Because that last trailer was so cool. We saw so much in it. It was like, I almost wished I would have just seen that in the theater. You know,
to finally see Abomination coming back after all this time, and that's cool because we're going to hopefully start seeing more of these bad guys that were one and done's kind of trickle.
Well, and speaking of that, because people think that Val is building the Thunderbolts, and Abomination isn't part of that. But I guess if you go back and watch the end credit scene of Black Widow, she's holding an iPhone.
Okay, which
confirms that she is a good guy.
Okay,
because Apple will not let bad guys have iPhones.
Yes, I forgot about that. Unless they've changed their tune.
Unless they've changed their marketing rules.
Yeah. Android bad. Apple good.
So we know whatever Val is doing, even though she's sending Yelena after Hawkeye, she is a good guy.
Speaking of the phones, which I thought was kind of funny at the very beginning of the movie, when she has a phone, Black Widow does, she's got a Windows phone.
Really, I was
like,
that.
Whoa! And I was like, well, maybe that's to keep her off of the radar, because like, who uses a Windows phone? That's what my thought was.
Yeah,
I was like, nobody's tracking that.
Yeah.
So that was pretty interesting. I was like, hey, that's a Windows phone.
That's
I haven't seen one of those in a long time. And I know that some point the Windows phone kind of went to Android. I know BlackBerry uses Android now, which is that's weird. Like, it's just a BlackBerry phone with an Android software. I mean, that's weird.
Yeah.
It's weird. What else do we have to talk about today?
Well, that pretty much wraps it up for me.
Yeah. We were going to talk about Scarlett Johansson suing Marvel.
Oh, yeah.
It's a big deal. That just kind of happened a few hours ago.
Yeah. So see, what happened is she's saying that releasing Black Widow on Disney Plus breaches her contract, which she was guaranteed a theatrical only release.
Well, not only that, but it's big reason it's a big deal is because of money.
Yeah, her salary is based off of what she makes in theaters.
Yep. And if they're not including the Disney Plus money into that, that's a big hit too, because I think Disney Plus did like $60 million.
Well, and we talked about this, I think it was either last week or the week before, how yeah, they're still making money
Yeah.
charging that, but they're losing out on these people that would go 2 and 3 times opening weekend.
They're losing the weekly cost. People are going to go for the next 3 months. Now they're only, who knows if the movie's going to even last that long in theaters.
we see that people still went. They saw it once. Well, now they're going home and buying it, so they just keep watching it.
Or they're telling all their friends, yeah, it is really good. And their friends are like, oh, yeah, but I still don't want to go to the theater, so I'm just going to buy it on Disney Plus. Yeah, because if you weigh the cost, if 2 or 3 of you go, it's the same cost as it is to go to theaters just to do Premier Access. $30 at home or against $30 at the movie theaters. Well, the movies you only get to see it once. Premier Access at home, you get to see it as many times as you want.
Right.
So I can understand that thought process for a person, but at the same time, the experience of going to the theater is what makes it so special.
Yeah, I'm all about the theater experience.
Yeah, and I think that you're basically beforehand you were making sure that people got that experience. Now people are like, well, I'd rather just stay home. And yeah, you're losing that money because eventually you're going to get that money anyway on video on demand.
Right.
And now they're losing that money already because they've already got it up front. So I think ultimately Disney's going to see this as not a good thing.
We'll see how it plays out. It's not like it's going to affect her career as Black Widow. I think she's pretty much done as far as we know.
Yeah, well, that's still hard because right there at the end of that movie, Ross comes up to arrest her. A week later, we see her with blonde hair going to get the Avengers. It still could be a clone. It still could be. We have no idea what happened there, so we'll see. I think with her and Chris Evans, they've left that open. So that they can both come back.
Yeah. Well, she could come back in another prequel, but I think they've said that she's dead because of what the Soul Stone. I still think, just my own headcanon, the way the Soul Stone works, when the stone was returned, she should have been.
I think
brought back.
If that was her that died, then yeah. But if that wasn't her just then with the blonde hair that went back to rescue the Avengers, then she never died.
Oh, yeah.
Because in the comics, she's had a clone that died. And so she just kind of came back out of whatever she was hiding.
So then where's she be doing the whole time?
That's one of those questions, right? She's been off with Captain Marvel.
And then, with Steve, he could come back at any point because technically they mentioned...
Timeline-wise, he's whatever.
Yeah, they mentioned him several times in Winter Soldier that he's on the moon.
Yeah.
And I don't think they were lying.
Yeah, he's up there with the Inhumans. Yeah, she could have been a Skrull. We've seen that play out.
Yeah.
So, I don't know who it could have been her, could not have been her. I think that they left that open. And I think that's specifically why they showed that there was her with Ross a week later. We got no idea what happened. I think there's a reason for that.
I do think Disney has come out and said that this will be the last Disney premiere movie.
Yeah, I think today, let me look. Jungle Cruise might be a one as well. Oh, my phone's going to try to play Star Wars. But they may have canned that. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I've ever seen it advertised as being on Disney Plus right off the get-go. So maybe it's not.
Yeah.
Which is kind of funny, the fact that you did that with Black Widow, but not with Jungle Cruise. I know it's got The Rock and Elizabeth, but it's still not Black Widow.
Yeah, it's not. I don't know that I would call it a blockbuster.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll still make tons of money this weekend, but
it's a kid movie.
Yeah, and maybe that's why she sued today because she's like, okay, so you made my movie go to Disney Plus and not this one.
Yeah, because I can understand kid movies, just buying on Disney Plus.
Yeah,
because I don't want to take the kids to the theater. That's a nightmare.
Yeah.
But yeah, superhero movies. That's the whole, you need the theater experience.
And I know they haven't announced any of the future ones that way. So again, I can understand her being like, these other guys are going to get their money based on percentages, and I didn't. So, but the movie still overall made good money, which I'm happy about because that means they are going to keep releasing things in theaters. So that's what I'm most excited about.
Yeah.
We're not going to lose that experience. So it's good.
Yeah. Because that's the whole, like I said, it's a whole event.
Yeah. It's great. Suicide Squad comes out next week. Pre-screenings are already starting to happen. It's got a 99% score on Rotten Tomatoes.
Critics are saying this is the best superhero movie ever.
You know what? It's James Gunn. It's silly. It's going to be fun. That's ultimately all I care about.
I'm looking out for. There's a King Shark one shot coming out. I think it might be September.
Okay. Is this like something kind of along the lines they did with the Peacemaker thing too? Because this is like a little mini series.
It might end up being a mini series, but all I know is he's getting at least a one shot for sure.
And I guess Stallone actually walked around and did a lot of that stuff. So.
Yeah, I'm thinking King Shark's going to be DC's like Groot or Alligator Loki, Baby Yoda kind of character.
He's got to be what's his face from Mortal Kombat with the eye.
Oh yeah, I think he's going to be the character that people just latch
movie.
onto. Yeah. That part just in the trailer where they're in the room and he's asking for questions. He's like, hand.
Yeah. So I think it'll be pretty cool. I'm really excited about that. So that's next week. This weekend I'm going to go watch Jungle Cruise. Then you're going to go watch the Green Knight this weekend.
I want to see it so bad.
So I'm thinking I'll probably go to not tomorrow or maybe Saturday. But man, I'm going to go watch it. So I kept thinking it was the same weekend as Suicide Squad, and then I looked earlier and it was like playing now. I'm all playing now. Dang it! I should have told my kids I would take them tomorrow, and I want to go watch the Green Knight today.
I'll have to see if I can convince Amanda into going to see Green Knight. I know she'll want to see it, but also like she's getting prepared to go to Orlando and never been away from the kids that long, so it's like
Mama
100% family time from now until then. So I mean, which
Mama Mode's freaking out right now.
Yeah,
I can understand that.
Yeah, I mean, not saying anything bad about it. I want to see the movie, but shouldn't take the kids to that one.
Yeah,
that's not a kid movie.
If she doesn't want to get away and you want to go see it, we can go watch it. we'll figure out a time. So, all right. Anything else this week?
I think that about wraps it up.
Cool. Well, I'll let you take it out.
So, thank you guys for watching, for listening. Be sure if you're listen audio only, check out all our content on YouTube. We have a ton of other stuff. We do FOC countdowns, just random videos every now and then. Be sure to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, the Twitters, all that stuff. Just helps us out a ton. Leave us comments, subscribe, give us a thumbs up. And, we are still giving away a remarked Spider-Man 800.
Yep, Spider-Man 800.
As soon as we get to 2,500 subscribers, so be sure you subscribe.
Yeah, I think we're getting really close to 2,000 right now.
We're getting there. We're getting close.
Yeah. And then just a note for next week, we may or may not be recording Thursday night.
We'll be recording. We just don't know when we'll be going. We won't be going live probably.
Be either Thursday night or Friday morning. So we'll see what happens for you few people that watch. Thank you live. So, all right. Well,
yeah, thank you guys, and we'll see you next week.
All right. Bye.